Hello, welcome back to another Star Study episode with yours truly, King Jacob, and welcome to the Chatterbox. Well, tonight on this terrific Tuesday, I have, fashion icon and, woman of God, and, she's a teacher and a coach to the young entrepreneurs. And, we're just going to let her introduce herself to the audience, so you can get familiar with her. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself, Queen.
Hi everyone, my name is Serwah Armah-Koranteng, and I am originally from Ghana, West Africa, but live here in the US. I've been here about 20 years, or a little over 20 years. I'm a fashion designer. I do organize fashion shows. I've been doing fashion shows in the Carolinas for 9 years, and I do own a mobile boutique that was sponsored through the South Carolina Arts Commission here in Colombia. So basically, that's what I do in terms of ministry. Professionally, I'm a social worker, and I've been in the foster care field for a little over 8 years.
Okay, great. So before we get into the fashion world and get into the ministry, now with you being a social worker and working with foster kids and placing them and stuff like that. So let's let's talk about now. That's a heavy contribution in itself, to be in that position, because being in social work and being working with foster kids and placing them with with good parental advisory and things of that nature. So let's talk about how you got into that social work business and what does working with foster children mean to you.
So, how I got into social work, both parents were ministers. So basically, I was raised in a home where we had to serve. And so to me, social work just came natural to me. I've always been in a position to serve. In terms of going into foster care, being an international student, of course, I came to the US as an international student. I felt that being an international student in a foreign country is just like being a foster care in anywhere. Foster kids are taken out of their homes, either due to neglect, abuse, or whatever. And although I wasn't taken out of my home, I came here for a purpose. I felt I've been out of my home. I was in an environment where I didn't know anybody. Weather, food, culture, everything was different. And so that's what happens to our kids that comes into foster care as well. They are taken out of the environment that they've grown in. The family, culture, the values, everything is ripped from these kids. And so I felt connection with the foster care system, and that was how I ended up going into foster care. I've seen kids come into foster care that has no hope, like kids that come and in the real world, you think these kids will never mount out to anything, and we've had kids that has been the odds, grown to be great men and women, and it's been amazing. It's a rewarding field to work in, especially when you can help somebody overcome the odds and also overcome everything that they've been through.
Okay. So sounds like a very um, hard job, but yet it puts you in a different type of mental and emotional space, and so you definitely have to be a strong person to work with those foster kids, and excuse me, and you have to be a strong person to once you place them, you have to really figure out the people characters that you placing them with, because this
Yes.
situation might not be good for this kid, but another situation might be good for this kid. So you definitely got to understand who the kids are, cause A lot of times they all are different. So you got to really, understand what the mindset and just look at the type of things they went through. Some may been through more severe things than others. So, it
Mm-hmm.
takes a the type of person to work with them. So I can, I,
It
can- I
is
can,
very true.
I can definitely, I can definitely
Yes,
tip my hat off to you for sure, sure. And so,
it's a blessing.
what's exciting to me, say again.
I said it's a blessing to be in the field because you impacting and making a change. So it's a rewarding field, and I've really loved it.
Okay, okay. I'm glad we have someone like you in that field. That speaks volumes. It says a lot. So upon you being from, Western Africa and you being a international student, so tell me, how did that come about? Being raised over in West Africa and then becoming to be an international student. So what was the process of that? Because a lot of us don't know the process of that. So it's very interesting to me.
So, my parents were ministers in the AME Church. Of course, we know the AME Church as the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and it was founded here in the U.S.
Right.
by Richard Allen. Um, so with them being ministers in the AME church, of course, I had a scholarship through the AME church to come to school. I went to Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. And so I was fresh out of high school, had no plans to come to the US. I had no plans for my future. Of course, I didn't know what I really wanted to do with my future. And so getting that scholarship was just a blessing out of the skies. I guess I'll say that happened, and of course I was excited about it. It was an easy process. Things have changed since 9/11. During this was 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, it was a process between the embassy and the church. The church took care of everything in terms of my tuition, transportation, which is flights back here to the US. Things have changed now. It's more restricted. So you have to go through a lot of process to be able to become or come here as an international student.
Okay. Interesting that to know that things have changed. The church was responsible for a lot back in 20 years ago, and
Mhm.
so they always change the narrative. So my thing is, if something is not broke, stop trying to fix
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? So so with that being said, it's very interesting. So um, for those that for those of us that don't know, let's talk about the culture. You know,
Mhm.
Western Africa and the culture that you grow up in. Can you really give us a brief description on that culture and how things were then and how you think things have changed now?
So, if we talk about the African culture, it doesn't really matter if it's the West, South, East, or North. Africans are very family oriented. We grow up with a family. We can be in a home with grandparents, great grandparents, because basically that's all we had. Family is a big thing to us. Parents can be, or we actually, I was raised by my grandparents. Parents can be off somewhere working, making a living, and grandparents are raising us. With the raising, they're teaching us the morals, the culture, everything about the African heritage. So it was a great thing because it helped us carry on the culture instead of losing it. And that's the difference I see here in the US. When somebody turns 18 here in the US, they are quick to leave the house. They are quick to be put out to go fend for themselves. Whereas back in Africa, you live with your parents till you are ready to get married. You get married off from the family instead of just living and going on your own. Now things have changed. I'm speaking specifically about Ghana. Things have changed. We've picked up the American and the Western culture where we want to be Americanized. So we're losing our values and our culture. We now want to do things the American way. The young people want to get married quick because they've seen their friends getting married, or they've seen it's a new fashion. Everybody wants to get married. And so, because of picking up this Western culture, we're losing our values, we're losing our culture. And so, even in terms of our clothing, the way we eat, the way we dress, or even how we live, we're living like Americans, in quotes, now in Ghana.
Mm. So with the older people that's still up and about, great uncles, great aunts, great grandmothers and stuff. What are some of the things that you and them talk about on how they see the African culture being so much Americanized now? Like so, and and how do they feel about that? And what's their how do they think that they can change the narrative back to where it used to be?
I'm not sure if they'll be able to change it. As time goes on, it gets worse because, of course, like I said, everybody wants to be Americanized. We don't spend much time with the elderly anymore as we used to. Whereas the olden days, it was a privilege to even go to the village to spend time with grandma, see how things are done in the village. We don't want to go to the village anymore because maybe the village has no light, has no electricity or water or anything. We've lived in the city for so long and gotten accustomed to being able to ride in cars back and forth wherever we're going. Whereas in the village, we may have to walk from one point to another. And also, things are becoming modernized. The villages are also developing. So we're losing the olden days of where grandma can put four stones together to make a fire. Now, grandma has a stove, grandma has this. So things have been modernized. So all those things that we saw growing up, we're losing them. Like I said, we're becoming more Western culture instead of the African culture.
Okay. So with that being said, what is the education like over there as far as the schooling system? So when you was growing up over there, you went to high school over there, and then you come to Allen University. How is that different for you?
Um, we do in Ghana. We do have, of course, all the educational system in place. We do have primary school, secondary school, high school. That's what we call secondary school. We do have colleges. Of course, it's different in terms of during my time, we didn't have much computers. We didn't have access to the internet and all those things. So, of course, studying, you have to study for everything. When I came to the US, what I found out was people took for granted the education system. I remember I had a professor from, I don't remember, but one of these African countries, and some of the students made fun of his accent. Where in Ghana, respect is given to the elderly, to the teachers. It doesn't matter who it is. Somebody older than me, I do respect them regardless if I know them or not. And
Hmm.
so the culture difference here, or what I noticed here in class was, we have students walking out of class just because they don't want to be there. They talk anyhow, behave anyhow in class. It's like nobody holds them accountable for their behavior in class, and that was I think one of the main cultural shock to me when I got here. The level of respect for the elderly, for people, um, the leaders actually, or the teachers in class. It was just horrible. But of course, I grew to see, oh, okay, it looks like that's what's done here. That's the life. So, yeah, it's very different in Ghana. In Ghana, It's a privilege to get an education. It's a privilege to be able to complete some kind of level of education. So we take that very seriously. Um, yeah.
Okay, okay. Hey Ashley, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. So with you seeing that, um, and you seeing this from your peers, from people that you're at a university with. So, did you ever have any conversations with your peers, or like just really ask him, what's really going on? Like, he's well educated, he's a college professor, and you know, um, he speaks with a different accent, but that's no need to make fun of him. So, because he's the one can help you go further in college.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, are those some of the conversations you had, or did you just leave it alone?
No, I just left it alone because at that time I was new here and also learning the culture myself. And it
Hmm.
looks like this was something normal to them. To me, it was strange. I was just surprised with their behavior, and it wasn't just in the classroom. I saw it's something that's normal to them. So talking about it wasn't going to make any difference. This is them.
Okay. Okay. So, upon studying at Allen University, um, what was your major?
At Allen University, I did social science.
Social science. Okay. So,
Mhm.
tell me about your experience with the college professors at Allen University. You know, how was how did you experience and maneuver to understand this is the way they did things on the educational system, and was you able to monopolize and maximize, to really go to the next level? Because when you first got there, maybe it was a little difficult, but once you learn how to maneuver, I'm pretty sure it got kind of, I ain't gonna say easier, but kind of smoother for you.
Mhm. Actually, I did have great teachers at Allen University. Of course, I came and went straight into class because for some reason I came in late. So classes had already started. But my teachers were very helpful, very understanding because I had to learn to listen to the accent. I have an accent, they have an accent. So, of course, I have to be able to be very attentive in class. I always have to go the extra mile compared to an American who is in class studying with me. But my teachers were very patient. Some of them stayed after class to help me out. I was very bad with math. I've always been bad with math, but I had a great teacher. Um, from taking core classes in math, I went on to do economics. So that tells you how great my core math teacher was. Um, so I really enjoyed my time at Ella University. It was a small school, which helped me a lot as well. And so it was more intimate with the teachers. And actually, all my classes, I think we had smaller classes. So the teachers were more hands on, and that helped me a lot.
Okay, upon that helping you a lot, and you getting into your curriculum and you learning more about the social services field, like, um, what was the most interesting course that you took in school?
Okay.
All right, okay. So, upon you majoring in social services, what was the most interesting course that you took upon taking that major that really helped you navigate into, your field upon graduation?
So, in high school, I had majored in home economics.
Okay.
And home economics, that's when I took clothing and textiles. And actually, I took home economics because that was the easiest course to get me through high school because my mom wanted me to go to school. And so going into college, I was going into college without knowing what I really wanted to do. I had no idea what kind of career that I wanted to go into. And so when I took social sciences, I took social sciences because there was psychology. I could major in psychology. And
Hmm.
the reason why I wanted to major in psychology was to learn about myself. I had grown up in an environment where my mom made all the decisions for me. I was the oldest of five, but we were so sheltered and so protected. Every decision of my life till I came to the US was made for me. So basically, I didn't know anything about myself. I didn't know what I like, dislike, what decisions. I couldn't make any decision basically. And so when I went into social science, it was just to be able to take psychology so I can learn about myself, my thought process, and basically everything about life. And so taking social science helped me a lot. After my psychology, I think that was when I decided I need more of this. It's so much that I learned from the psychology classes that I wanted to know more about life, about how human beings think, how we act, and why we act the way we do. And so actually, I went on to get my master's. That's when I decided to go on to get my master's in social work. And that was actually, I was just talking to somebody the other day why I went into social work. Whilst going into social work, my mom had just passed away. And so, with the grief process and also learning about myself, trying to find my calling and my purpose on this earth, it was through social work that I got my counseling, my was able to process my grieving, able to find my calling. And so it wasn't just social work degree. It was therapy for me and also a process to find my calling as well.
Okay, interesting, interesting, very interesting. So, upon taking psychology and upon taking social science, who did you find out you were, Queen? Like, what did you find out about yourself mentally and emotionally and spiritually that you haven't captivated yet? But now it puts you in a different realm to understand who you are and what your purpose is. So, what are some of the things that you found out?
So in my social work, whilst was working on my master's program, I was paired up with a mentor. And this lady, I'm thinking at that time was in her 70s, had cancer, was in hospice actually. Um, and when we got paired up, like I mentioned, my mom had just passed away, and I was going through the process of finding, I couldn't go back home when she passed away. And so, with the grieving process, I was talking to my mentor. I said, you know what? It looks like there was a reason for me to be paired up with you because my mom was sick, not for too long, but the the thought of not being there before she passed away was weighing so much on me. And it felt like whatever service I was supposed to give to my mom, I was giving to this mentor. So that relationship meant so much to me during that time. During that time, her mentoring me actually gave me the sense of, oh, actually, I've been living my purpose all my life. Like I mentioned earlier, I was raised by ministers. Both parents were ministers. So in the church where I was already serving, I can sit with adults and at an early age talk with adults as if I'm an adult, like give advice, listen. I am a very good listener. Um, and I found out about myself that I've been built emotionally, spiritually, physically, and all this whilst growing up, but I didn't know I had the potential, and everything has been already installed in me. But it took this mentor to bring all these things out for me to figure out, oh, okay, I'm already doing this. So actually, I already have this talent. I already have this skill. I already have this potential. So it was this mentor that brought out all these talents and skills that was already instilled in me growing up.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Thank you, Miss Cheryl Dunlap, for tuning in. We definitely appreciate you listening in on the conversation. Thank you so much. So, upon you find out who you were, and upon that psychology helping you understand, your movement, your body language, understand how you think, why you think like that, understanding why you react to certain situations, just understanding you as a whole. Upon you understanding that, how well did that help you navigate through your life journey?
It helped me a lot. It helped me understand the kind of people that I wanted to work with. It helped me to understand that, okay, this is my purpose. I've been called to be able to listen and give hope, and also um, be able to look at people and actually help them see the potential in themselves. And actually, that's what I do with my ministry. It's we all have a gift in us. Sometimes it takes somebody to point it out to us, or sometimes it takes somebody to help us grow, to for that talent to grow. And so that's the way I found my calling through my social work degree.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Okay. That's understandable. Yes, and you're right. We do all hold a gift in us, and we have a gift that we're supposed to share with the world. Because that gives us purpose, power, passion, and persistence to understand that we have a voice that can, help people. So we have to inspire to stay inspired. So you're definitely right about that. Now let's talk about this other topic. My black heritage, art and fashion. You know, the runway experience.
Mhm.
So I've been seeing some of the things that you do, and read some literature on you and whatnot. You're nothing more than amazing. You're definitely absolutely, with your designs and stuff. So let's talk about your your clothing line and how you became a fashion designer, and talk about how that African heritage has helped you reach different people in different states. Because from what I see, that this fashion show could really go on the road if you pursue it to go on the road. It could really go on the road, and it can hit a lot of different states. So I say salute to you, for real, for real.
Thank you. Thank you. So I mentioned I had taken clothing and textiles in high school, but it wasn't something that I've really pursued. When I came to the US 20 years ago, I think it was 2004 when the economy started going down. That was when I wanted to sell African clothing. By this time, well, my 4 years at Allen University, Africa back 20 years ago wasn't really known. When you talk about, I remember my peers whenever when they hear my accent and ask where I came from, and I say Africa, they ask, "Oh, so you're wearing clothes now? Do you guys live on trees? Do you guys speak Africa?" So Africa wasn't known much. Not many people knew where Africa was, or even know Africa is a country or a continent. And so it was something that through my 4 years at Allen University was something that I always had passion of doing some kind of education on the African culture and also the continent of Africa. And so after my first degree, I had my first event that was just to educate. Actually, it wasn't an event, it was something that I just wanted to see the response from the community. So I just organized something small and invited people from different parts of Africa. I know people still think Africa is just a country because when they meet me and find out I'm from Africa, oh, I met this person from Africa. You need to go talk to them. And my first response would be no, because when they speak, I may not even understand what they're talking about. And
Mm.
that's how big Africa is. Africa is not like living in Colombia and somebody lived in Lexington, and so we know each other. And so my first event, I had people from the north, south, east, and west of Africa to come educate us on the different parts of their culture in terms of their fashion, the food, languages. And actually, the response was very good. During this time, I did cater African food. So they didn't just get education on the culture or the fashion, they also had a taste of African dishes, and the response was great. And so I decided to make it a yearly event. And so since 2000, I'm thinking 14 or 13, every year after that, in February, I did organize a fashion show. And for the fashion show, I'll invite people from different parts of Africa, even locals or African Americans that design African clothing. Um, it wasn't just to share the African culture, but also to exhibit local businesses, small businesses, new businesses, local designers, local acts, people that perform, has a talent, wanting to get into fashion. Um, it was also a time to bring young men and young ladies and guys on who wanted to model, but of course we're not professional models, but want to give this a try. And so it was some kind of a play field for everybody to come try this out, to see, hey, if I can model, hey, if I can design, hey, if I can sell. But as time went on, it became something big. Every year the numbers grew. Every year we had to relocate because the room couldn't hold us.
Mm.
So it was great. Through these years, we've had models gone on to be professional models. We've had some businesses become big, large businesses. Designers are doing great. So our platform has been able to go far. In terms of going from state to state or different locations, um, although we are just in the Carolinas, we are planning to move around. I think I mentioned to you I have moved from South Carolina as of about 2 weeks ago. I am now in the Virginia north of the state. And so it's one of the reasons why I wanted to move. The opportunities here is great. It's better than the South. And that was the main reasons why I wanted to move
Mm.
up north. So
Oh,
the response actually has been great. My first weekend here in the North, I had an event. I have a couple of things lined up in DC. I'm planning on going to New York and other places. So I'm excited about it.
right, right. So I was just about to say that, I lived in the DMV area for 12 years. So
Okay.
I'm very I'm very familiar with the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, and that's a area that's always moving and grooving. And so, you just by connecting with people in those three places, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, you're gonna make a lot of headlines. You're gonna be in all type of newspapers. People gonna want you to do shows here. They'll they'll want you to bring it to the school system as well. So you're definitely gonna do well. You definitely, and then you might have a videographer that may even want to even shoot a movie with you on about how
Mm.
you started and where you're at now. So it's definitely a great move for you. And so with your show, you said that you have models up and coming, male and female. You invite people from all type of different parts of Africa, and also I seen some of your pieces. So I went to the website and I said, "What the world? How did she make this? Like what?" And so Tell me about some of your pieces, man, because I see that you do weddings, you do anniversary parties, you do just kickback shindigs, so tell me about the very first time you did a runway show.
So back in 2013 or 2014, I had no idea what I was doing. Actually, I still tell people I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's because I have no professional experience in event planning or even in design. I did basic sewing in high school. Everything else I learned off YouTube. And so I had to bring on people, professionals, I mean, people that can do better things than I do. Those things that I can make, I do have professionals that do them.
Hmm.
Um, and so some of the pieces, of course, there is no new design out there. I tell people you can't create anything new. All the designs are already out. All you have to just do is pick something and modify it. And one thing about our clothing, I always want to give the idea that you don't have to be an African to wear an African clothing. And also, it doesn't have to be an African event for you to be able to wear African clothing. We do make office wear, we do make casual wear, anything that you can think of, we can make it with an African print. So it doesn't have to be a special occasion for you to go look for an African outfit. You can wear anything that we can make for you to the office, to church, wherever you're going to. We can make something for it. And so I don't like to restrict our clothing to specific group or specific gender. We make for anybody and everybody.
Okay, okay, okay. I seen that. I seen that. So, with you being a fashion designer and you taking it back to the African heritage and things of that nature as well. So, do you cast models from back home to come to the shows in the U.S.?
No, I've never done that. Because I think we have potentials here locally. The models that I have seen or worked with, some of the models I've worked with since day one. That's what, about 9 years. And so you
Okay.
can just imagine somebody who wasn't even a model, working with me for 9 years, how much they've grown over the years. And so to me, it wasn't necessary for me to go outside the country to look for anybody else to come model. We have the potentials here. We do have people that just need a chance to be able to live their dream. And
Okay.
so that's
Hmm.
what my platform is for. Come use it as a practice ground to grow your talent.
Interesting. Interesting. I love it. I love it, man. Like you are the best. I love it. I love it. So, with that being said, um, upon your website, do you still have people back home that purchase things off your website?
I do, but most of my customers are here abroad.
Okay.
I do have just a handful of people that will purchase from Ghana because most of the clothing are made in Ghana anyway. So it's easy
Mhm.
for them to connect with my designers or vendors whilst in Ghana than just ordering from me here in the US.
Right, right. Okay, so let's talk about how your fashion and your art, how does that coexist in your ministry as well? Because as I was reading some literature on you, I know that you do have a ministry, and I know that you have fundraisers and things of that nature, and you are a strong advocate for teaching youth the right levels of entrepreneurship. So if you can chime in on that for me, please.
So, as I mentioned before, both parents were ministers, and unfortunately, both parents have passed on. The ministry still goes on, and so the kids have taken up the ministry, even with our parents still being alive. We were supporting the ministry. And I think this was before we came online, that I wish somebody had taken or groomed me earlier to go into entrepreneurship um, before I got older. If you had asked me 20 years ago if I would be an entrepreneur, I'll tell you no, because I had no business born in me or even had no interest in going into business. But as time went on and also the economy changed, I've seen the importance of having multiple streams of income and also being a female who can stand on her own 2 feet without depending on a man or somebody else to support them financially. And so educating or training up female entrepreneurs is a big thing for me. And so part of what we do in the ministry is we find young aspiring entrepreneurs. It doesn't really matter what they want to do. So far as they need a seed money or they need some kind of help to be able to get a skill, we do
Hmm.
support them. It's either buying machinery, helping them go to school, or whatever they need to start a business. We try to help them. Um, I think we've been blessed enough to be put in this position. When I say we, of course, my team with AfricStyle, we've been blessed enough to be put in this position. And so anybody that we can help to get to the next level or live out their potential, we're always willing to do that.
Mm. Very interesting. Very interesting for you to be a businesswoman and for you to have a heart of gold at the same time. That's amazing. That really is, because you know the type of society that we live in nowadays. When you find a person with a heart of gold like yours, so and a person that's a businesswoman trying to teach the youth how to conduct themselves as business owners, and to teach them what we call organizational leadership. You know,
Mhm.
that just says a lot about you, and that speaks volumes. So we
Right.
definitely we definitely appreciate you being who you are. And with that being said, let's talk about your mobile boutique. Tell me about
Mhm.
that, and tell me how you started that mobile boutique.
So before I started the mobile boutique, I did have a small SUV, and that SUV carried my inventory everywhere I went. If I'm going to Atlanta, wherever I traveled, that car was packed up. And so a friend of mine who works at USC actually introduced me to the South Carolina Arts Commission. And by the way, this is a grant that is open to any and everybody that is an entrepreneur. The grant is opened every year. They have different amounts of money that they give out, and this is free money that they give out to entrepreneurs. If you go to South Carolina Arts Commission website, they should have information on there on different kinds of grants that they give out. And so I did apply for the grant, and that was my first time applying for any grant or any financial assistance for my business. This was about 2, 3 years ago. And thank goodness I was paid to receive $5,000. And
Mm.
so with that $5,000, I was able to buy an enclosed trailer, which I turned into a boutique. So basically, it's just like going into a storefront on wheels.
Interesting, interesting. And so, amongst you having a storefront on wheels, um, what is your, or is there a select places that you set up, or do you have flyers out there that you're going to be this time, this date at this place? Also, how does that mobile boutique work for you?
So before COVID, yes, I do advertise on social media and also our website where I'm going to be. Normally, it's I was more on the Decker Boulevard, Tunach area because, of course, that's where I lived at. So I will post dates that I'm going to be out with the boutique on my social media pages, and basically people come out to shop. Also, I'm online as well. So if you're not able to make it to me during those specific times, you can always shop online. Most of our clothing are custom made, so it was easier for people to just make personal appointments, one-on-one, to just come to me to be able to get something made as well. So actually, the boutique wasn't out that often because I think right after our first year, that was when COVID hit. So basically, we haven't been out since the COVID started. But I do major events, which is the um, Jubilee Festival, which is always on Richland Street by City of Columbia, and of course my events as well. So I was going to major events and not just small events.
Okay. I can dig it. I can dig it. I can dig that. So, um, upon you having the mobile boutique, I think I read or something about um you catering food as well. Is this correct?
It is correct.
Okay, okay. So let's talk about how much in demand you are to cater events.
Um, so I wasn't certified to cater. I think I can say that since I'm no longer in that business. I wasn't certified to cater. And actually, I took up the catering because I wanted to combine that with my fashion. The secret to getting people to come out to events is providing food. And so that was something that I combined with my fashion to be able to get people out to not just see a fashion show, but also taste African food as well. And so
Okay.
that's how I started with the catering.
So
It came to a point, I'm sorry.
so with you starting the catering, and you passing out your business cards and stuff like that, was people contacting you to really do some events for you and how did you it seems like you monopolized and you know that you was high in demand as far as the food because you got to think you're in Columbia, South Carolina. You got Columbia, Lexington, Waynesboro, all those surrounding counties, then towns, and um, and people want different. Just like I always say, African spot, Jamaican spot, West Indian spot, Spanish spot. Like people want that because that's something that people never really had in the Carolinas. So bring that different type of flavor, and it's really it's really hitting their taste buds, with every bite. Of course they're gonna call you. So upon them calling you, you know, um, how did it make you feel and was people calling you a lot to do events or did you really have to slow down some like, oh wow, this is getting overwhelming?
No, I didn't have to slow down. I had to stop. That was how bad it got. Because it got to a point I didn't feel safe because people were coming to my home to eat actually. I wanted them to have the home feel of environment instead of a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
So I had people coming off Facebook, calling me off Yelp, and calling me all over. Yes. So
Oh wow.
it got to a point, yes, I didn't feel safe. So I had to stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So I can dig that. But is there something in the future for you, maybe, restaurant, food truck or not?
Um, not with catering.
Okay.
Well, you never know. You never know because the part of Virginia where I am, there is no African restaurant. So of course, the
Ooh.
first thing that came into my mind, okay, this needs to change. With the mindset of a business person, I had light bulbs going off in my head, but I don't know.
Okay. So are you like in the Fairfax, Arlington? Right.
I am.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. So one thing I can tell you about the Fairfax and Arlington area, there's a lot of richy, rich people out there.
I see
And
that.
I can tell you this, if you're a new restaurant and it soothes and it's inviting to their taste buds, oh yeah, they're gonna come there all the time, especially from like a Thursday through a Sunday, especially,
Okay. Okay.
especially, cause I mean, Thursday is winding down. People really want to go out with their families, and especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then on Sunday they want that meal that they can get after they come out of church. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so that may be something for you to consider.
I
And
will consider that. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
definitely consider that.
So when can we? Or do you have some events coming up soon or no?
Um, Not right now. One of the reasons I moved up north was also for a job. And so I'm still trying to settle in with the job first before I can schedule anything. So for right now, I'm not doing anything at the moment.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So it's been a really splendid and star-studded episode tonight, and
Yeah, thank
I
you.
really want to thank you for coming on this platform and dropping those jewels. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
thank you
Dropping
for
those
having me.
nuggets. And I just want you to go ahead and tell people where they can contact you at, where they can find you at, and so they can connect with you.
So I am, well, first of all, thank you for having me and thank you to Latasha for connecting us. Like I said before, she's an amazing lady and I know she's going to do great with her music, her book. She's already started, so I know she's going to go far with it.
Right, right.
Um, People can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as AfricStyle Initiatives. And also, our clothing line is online as well. Is www.myafricstyleinitiatives.com.
You heard it first, man. Only on the Chatterbox with King Jacob. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we definitely appreciate you. It's been a great dialogue, and she definitely shared some things with us, and some things that she been through, some things she overcame, and she's still growing, and she's still making an impact in the world, and she's living out her purpose. So we want to say peace, blessings, take care, and most of all, stay COVID-19 free. All right, we
Thank
love you.
you.
Peace.